They're the largest snakes on Earth, roaming the Amazon. They've eaten goats, deer, and even crocodiles. So, what would happen if an anaconda tried to eat you? Can an anaconda really swallow a human? How long would you be traveling through the snake's body? And has something like this happened before? This is What If. And here's what would happen if you were swallowed by an anaconda. Believe it or not, in 2014, someone was actually dumb enough to attempt this. He was wearing a large, bulky suit covered in pig's blood. The anaconda worked for an hour, wrapping its mouth around the head of the suit, but it was ultimately unsuccessful in swallowing the human whole. If it had been successful, how would an anaconda be able to eat a full-sized adult? So, you happen to be wandering in the Amazon rainforest and you stumble upon one of these giant anacondas. Green anacondas grow up to 9 meters in length and can weigh as much as 225 kilograms. You might think you'd be a tasty meal to them, as a small meal for an anaconda is about 18 kilograms. If they were to gobble you up, it would keep them satisfied for weeks. But a meal over 45 kilograms, like you, might not be what an anaconda is most interested in. Due to how massive you are, not to mention being taller and broader than most animals it eats, you would take too long to consume. This, in turn, would leave the anaconda vulnerable to predators for weeks, if not months, until it finishes digesting you. But let's say it did want to eat you. What would happen then? Well, before an anaconda swallows you, it would kill you first. An anaconda is a constrictor snake, and it kills by wrapping its body all around its prey and quickly crushing them to death with over 9,000 pounds of pressure. It would be a pretty quick end for you. But we all know that's not how this show works. So let's assume you survive this and we get to see the entire process. The anaconda would then widen its jaw to swallow you whole. You won't have to worry about it chewing you up into little bits since it only has fangs used for holding its prey. And luckily, as opposed to other snakes, the anaconda isn't venomous, so its fangs won't poison and paralyze you. But something you will find in the anaconda's mouth is lots and lots of saliva. Yeah, this will be used to moisten you. You know, so it's easier for the anaconda to slide you down their gullet. So now you're moving down the snake's esophagus. As with many other animals, the muscles in the esophagus will push you down the snake's body. The anaconda also has the ability to move and bend its ribs to crush you even further and push you down into its stomach. Okay, now you're in the anaconda's stomach. Don't worry, we're still keeping you alive. You know, to make this more fun. The anaconda's stomach produces powerful acids and stomach enzymes that will dissolve your skin, and then eventually your bones. How fast do these acids work exactly? Well, an anaconda once dissolved an alligator's skin in just 3 days, so your squishy, fleshy skin would disappear pretty quickly. Your body would break down even further as you move through the snake's small intestine. That's due to the liver and pancreas secreting even stronger enzymes. Everything besides your hair and your nails would be digested at this point. And even if you were wearing some magical suit that protected you from the acid and everything else, it would still be a couple of weeks before you were unceremoniously pooped out. So it's likely you'd starve. Although something like this is incredibly unlikely. Just leave anacondas alone. After all, they aren't interested in eating you in most cases, as you're just too big. They're really just trying to defend themselves. Plus, you'd pretty much die instantly if you tried to mess with one of these things. It can swallow entire gazelles, turtles, and even lions. This is the Nile crocodile, the most dangerous crocodile in the world. It normally preys on animals found in Africa, but now it's coming for you. How easy would it be for this crocodile to swallow you? What secrets lie in the crocodile's stomach? And how would its heart help digest you? This is What If, and here's what would happen if you were swallowed by a crocodile. If you think something like this is impossible, think again. Crocodile attacks are more common than shark attacks, and these attacks are responsible for nearly 1,000 fatalities a year. So what would happen if you were one of these attacks? Would you be able to survive? First, let's get to know a little bit more about this creature who's coming after you. The Nile crocodile is typically found in Africa, but has also been seen in Florida in the United States. These crocodiles are incredibly aggressive and are responsible for over 300 attacks on people every year. What might make it so aggressive is its size. The Nile crocodile can grow up to 6 meters long and weigh up to 550 kilograms. All this combined makes it the most dangerous crocodile on Earth. And now, it's coming to swallow you whole. You'd first get attacked by the crocodile somewhere along a river. And it's likely this would happen between December and May, since that's the crocodile's breeding season. As you're walking along the river, the crocodile would stalk you, waiting for the perfect opportunity to attack. You probably wouldn't even notice the croc. And even if you did, it might be hard to get away from it, as the Nile croc can run up to 18 kilometers per hour on land. And as it caught up to you, it would strike at your leg with its massive jaw, applying 3,500 kilograms of pressure. This would break your leg, preventing you from getting away. And now, the crocodile could drag you into the river, where it likes to do the rest of its eating. Now that you're in the water, with the crocodile biting into your leg, it would begin to roll you around in the water. This is it attempting to disorient and drown you. And at this point, you'd be passed out. And now that you're not moving, the Nile croc would swallow your body whole. You would pass through the crocodile's esophagus and into its stomach. But wait, this is a lot of food, and not every animal would be able to eat something like this, so how can the crocodile? Well, the crocodile's stomach is unique. That's because these creatures swallow rocks to help break up their food. And that's why the crocodile didn't need to chew you. While you're inside the crocodile's stomach, you'd be smushed by all these rocks. And with that, your body would be broken up into smaller chunks. And rocks aren't the only thing that would help the croc digest you. Inside the crocodile's body is a heart valve that they control with their nerves. Instead of this valve going to the crocodile's lungs, it goes to the stomach. This allows the crocodile to produce 10 times more gastric acid than most other animals. Over the course of a week, your body would be getting crushed up by all these rocks, and you'd be getting dissolved by all the stomach acid. Skin, bones, hair and all. Then, the crocodile would poop out your remains and go hunting for its next victim. So the next time you're near a swampy river, watch out for crocodiles. If you're not careful, they can be pretty dangerous. They're the deadliest thing on Earth. They suck your blood and spread disease, killing nearly 1 million people each year. Are we talking about vampires? Lions? Gorillas? Actually, none of these things. We're talking about mosquitoes. Are mosquitoes really this deadly? What would happen if they all disappeared? Would humanity be better off? This is What If, and here's what would happen if we killed all mosquitoes. It may sound unusual that a little bug could be this deadly, but it's true. Mosquitoes spread diseases like malaria, yellow fever, and the dengue virus. They do it by biting someone who has a particular disease, and then biting you and injecting their saliva into your body. The saliva then enters your bloodstream, causing you to contract whatever virus or bacteria that the mosquito picked up. And it's not just humans they affect either. Animals and farm livestock all around the world suffer greatly from mosquitoes. Just a single bite can be fatal. So, how do we get rid of these bugs? Well, first, we have to figure out exactly how many mosquitoes there are in the world. That's incredibly difficult to find out. It's estimated that there's 7 trillion of them in Alaska alone. Yeah, that's right, Alaska. Due to global warming and ocean temperatures rising, mosquitoes can live in places like this. And around the world, there are trillions of other mosquitoes. There's a number of ways we could get rid of them. Bats eat mosquitoes without any risks. They can eat 600 mosquitoes in an hour, so if we had enough bats, in theory, they could effectively wipe out mosquitoes all around the world. But then how would we get rid of the billions of bats in the sky? Okay, maybe that's not the best idea. Another thing we need to understand is how mosquitoes reproduce. You may think they're sucking our blood because we taste good and they're hungry. But instead of feeding themselves, they're actually doing it for their larvae. So, if we somehow got rid of all our blood and… Wait, I know where this is going. Yeah, that's not going to work either. Instead of these options, we may need to release genetically modified male mosquitoes. Ones that don't bite and can only produce sterile offspring. It could take several decades, but with enough of our genetically modified mosquitoes producing sterile offspring, mosquitoes would eventually be eradicated. So, now that they're gone, what would happen next? Well, millions of people wouldn't be getting sick and dying each year. You could enjoy being outside in the summer without any fear of being bitten, and animals would be much safer as well. That's right, not many bad things would happen if we got rid of all the mosquitoes. What about the circle of life and all that? Don't mosquitoes contribute to the food chain? Sure, some birds, bats, and frogs eat quite a lot of mosquitoes. But they're still not a hugely significant part of other creatures' diets. And these animals will survive without mosquitoes. And although mosquitoes do pollinate plants, it's not significant enough to justify keeping the species alive. But still, is getting rid of mosquitoes the right thing to do? After all, we would be getting rid of an entire species. We should keep in mind that there are thousands of different species of mosquitoes, but only 6 of them bite us and spread disease. Not only that, but there are some theories that mosquitoes may help to protect the Amazon rainforest. That's because they're so deadly and annoying to the people trying to cut down the rainforest that at times the bugs actually prevent them from doing so. And let's be real for a second. The human population is growing incredibly fast. Maybe mosquitoes are helping us to keep our population in check. Wait, what am I saying? This would most definitely be a good thing. There would be less disease, fewer people dying, and very few negative consequences. No, this is not a video about the fictional 70s blockbuster Jaws. We're talking about a fish that's much, much smaller than a great white shark, but that's got a bite about 2 times greater. Supposedly, its teeth are so sharp that if it were to bite you, you would only realize it after you saw blood. But what if you were attacked by a school of these colorful, fast-moving carnivores? How much would you feel? And how long would you last? This is What If, and here's what would happen if you fell into a pool full of piranhas. Piranhas have been around for a really long time. Fossil evidence puts the piranha's ancestors in South America as far back as 25 million years ago. And the modern piranhas we know and love today have been here for 1.8 million years. So we've had some time to learn about these fearsome little river dwellers. But how much of it is true? Pay attention. What you're about to see might just save your life. That piranhas are vicious, bloodthirsty creatures that will tear you apart in minutes is largely a myth. In 1914, Former US President Theodore Roosevelt was on a survey expedition in Brazil, where he witnessed a group of locals tossing a dead cow into a river that they had stocked with starving piranhas. The feeding frenzy that followed led Roosevelt to see piranhas as the embodiment of evil ferocity. He compared their teeth and their jaws to those of sharks and claimed that their preferred prey is usually much larger than themselves. Well, the story stuck. And naturally, like Jaws before it, piranha became a 1978 cult classic, spreading several myths about the fish that a lot of people still believe. The real truth is that piranhas are relatively calm fish, and most of them are scavengers that feed on insects, worms, and plant material in the rivers where they live. Of the few species of piranha that are attracted to the smell of blood, well, they tend to go for prey that's roughly the same size as them. In fact, if you fell into a pool of piranhas, chances are they'd actually be scared of you. Piranhas aren't really interested in humans, unless they are extremely hungry and the human is already dead. But it's not like someone would starve a pack of piranhas and put them in a pool just to watch them eat something. At worst, you might get nipped and gnawed on a little, which is scary enough, but you can rest assured that there has never been a scientifically proven case of a human being killed by a piranha. Sorry, gory B-movie lovers. But don't let me spoil all the fun. Even though you know the truth now, the idea of what piranhas can do is still terrifying. These fish typically grow up to 50 centimeters long. They hunt in packs and have a bite force that's 3 times their body weight. This means that, relative to its size, a piranha bites harder than a great white shark, harder than an American alligator, harder than a T-Rex, and even harder than a megalodon. And while it's highly unlikely to happen, if, for some reason, you were attacked by a school of piranhas, roughly 400 of them could turn you into a skeleton in about 5 minutes. But, of course, there's always a bigger fish. Something is lurking in the water. Do you see it? Close calls like this happen with whales more often than you might expect. And although the people in these videos got away relatively unscathed, there's no denying that they were just meters away from being a whale's lunch. But what would happen if they hadn't been so lucky? Could a human body survive being swallowed by a whale? Has it ever happened before? This is What If, and here's what would happen if you were swallowed by a whale. If you've never seen a whale up close, it's hard to comprehend just how monstrous they can really be. To put it in perspective, the blue whale is the largest animal on the planet. Its tongue alone weighs as much as an elephant, and it can fit anywhere between 400 and 500 people in its mouth. But we wouldn't have to worry about one of these guys swallowing us anytime soon, because their anatomy makes it nearly impossible. Instead, we should be more concerned with their smaller cousins, sperm whales. In 1891, reports emerged that a man had been swallowed by one of these whales. And although he lived to tell the tale, he would never be the same again. According to the story, James Bartley was swallowed when a whale attacked his ship, and he wasn't retrieved until the following day. When the crew found and killed the whale, they quickly brought it on board their ship and cut it open, revealing an unconscious but very alive James Bartley. His face and arms were bleached white, and he was blind, all thanks to the stomach acids of the whale. However, as the years went by, people started poking holes in this story and questioned whether James had really been swallowed by a whale. I mean, wouldn't the stomach acids do more damage than just bleaching his skin? Well, with the power of science, we took a closer look, and we quickly discovered that if you get swallowed by a whale, coming back out with shiny white skin would be the least of your worries. Okay, so the first thing you'd have to worry about once you were swallowed would be getting shredded to pieces by the sperm whale's impressive set of teeth. Each tooth is approximately 20 centimeters long. That's about the length of an average chef knife, and whales have anywhere from 40 to 50 of these. Let's say you're lucky enough to make it past all of them. Next, you'd begin your descent down the throat. Not only would it be dark and slimy down here, but you'd also find it hard to breathe due to the lack of oxygen and an increase in methane gas. As the whale's throat muscles constricted in and out to help force you down, you'd also start to feel hydrochloric acid beginning to eat away at your skin. I know what you're thinking. We just got into this whale and James Bartley's story already seems pretty fishy. Well, you're not wrong, but what would be the fun in stopping now? So next, you'd be dropped into the first and largest of the whale's 4 stomachs. You'd probably be in there for a while, but on the bright side, you might have some light in the form of a bioluminescent squid or two being noshed on after your arrival. Sperm whales love neon flying squid. You'd better enjoy this brief light show because after this, you'd just be tossed from one stomach to the next, with the acids breaking down almost all of your body until you're just a bunch of bones being unceremoniously ejected from the whale's anus. So yeah, it's pretty safe to say that there's no way you could be swallowed whole by a whale and live to tell the tale. Sorry, James, you may have been able to fool people in the 1890s, but we're on to you now. As vast as they are and as monstrous as they might seem to us, whales actually have no interest in eating humans. And if they could talk, they would probably make a point of telling us that. They're sneaky, they're slimy, and they're hungry for meat. The hagfish, or slime eel, has earned its name due to its unique defense mechanism. When they're agitated, hagfish can secrete slime to choke unsuspecting predators. Even sharks fall prey to their gunky wrath. This makes us wonder, what would happen if you fell into a pool full of them? What makes the hagfish so unique? How does hagfish slime expand so rapidly? And why is the hagfish useful to us? This is What If, and here's what would happen if you fell into a pool of hagfish. Hagfish have been around for hundreds of millions of years and are the only known living animal with a skull but no spine. They are also jawless creatures with the unique ability to absorb nutrients through their skin. Using 4 sets of teeth on their tongue, hagfish like to burrow inside sea creatures, dead and alive, and digest them over time. Their bodies are lined with special glands that secrete stringy proteins when the hagfish feels agitated. This slime can expand 10,000 times larger in under a second, making it a lethal choking hazard to predators. So, could you survive in a pool full of them? Many hobbyists are actually turning their pools into self-sustaining ecosystems for fish and plants, known as an aquaponic system. If you're feeling adventurous and want to adopt hundreds of hagfish, you'll need a cold saltwater pool to mimic their natural habitat and enough dead fish to feed them. In the unfortunate event that you slip and fall into the pool, you might still be okay if you're close to the surface. As bottom dwellers, they may not even react to you being there. But if you happen to disturb them, the water would start to get very slimy very quickly, making it difficult to swim. The slime isn't actually sticky, but it is particularly strong. It would tangle around your toes, fingers, ears, and the crevices of your body. If it got in your mouth and started to expand in your throat, you could choke very quickly and drown. Eventually, the hagfish would feast on your body. It's not exactly a nice way to go. Also, you might want to be extra careful if you're driving near trucks full of hagfish. Ugh. Hagfish slime is a mucin, like snot, except that it doesn't dry out. Ugh. Can someone get me a tissue, please? The mucin is made up of long fibers like spider silk, which are arranged in small bundles known as skeins. When these skeins come into contact with seawater, the glue holding them together dissolves and the slime expands rapidly. These slime microfibers are stronger than nylon, thinner than human hair, and 100,000 times softer than Jell-O. This makes hagfish slime an exceptionally useful and environmentally friendly fabric. In fact, it's used to make safety helmets, Kevlar vests, and even airbags. And researchers are investigating whether it could be used as a hydrogel to hold water in soil for farming. Hagfish are also considered a delicacy in Korean cuisine and are used in many delicious stir-fry recipes. So maybe if you're careful, you could harvest them as a business. Hippos are large, loud, and dangerous. They kill 500 people a year in Africa, and their attacks are vicious. So if you're around one, keep your guard up, and don't be fooled by its big, cute face.
Well, look at this little fella.
That hippo might be hungry. But do hippos eat meat? What warning sign should you watch for? And could a hippo fit your whole body in its mouth? This is What If, and here's what would happen if you were swallowed by a hippo. These water-loving creatures can grow up to 5 meters long, and they weigh up to 4,500 kilograms. It takes a lot of energy to carry all that mass around, so these hungry hippos have to eat 35 kilograms of food every night. Luckily, they're herbivores. For the most part. There have been reports of hippos eating carrion, but they're rare. Humans are definitely not in their diet. But that doesn't mean you can relax around hippos. They're incredibly aggressive, and there's one warning sign that you should never ignore. If you see a hippo open its mouth in a yawn or a laugh, you're in trouble. This is a sign that it's going to attack. You think I'm going to tell you to run? Sorry, but hippos can charge at up to 30 kilometers per hour. And sometimes there's no warning at all. Hippos will often glide underneath a small boat, flipping it and throwing its passengers into the water. Once you're in the water, your chances of surviving are slim. But could a hippo swallow you whole? While they are big animals, a hippo wouldn't be able to consume you in one bite. Instead, you'd feel intense pressure as the hippo begins to crush your arms or legs with its teeth. You punch the hippo right in the nose and it loosens its grip on your body. But although you manage to break free, you're in bad shape. There are huge holes in your side from its tusks. Parts of your body are unrecognizable and you're missing an arm. Yeah, that arm is still in the hippo's mouth. Now, while you're being rushed to the nearest hospital, what happens to your missing limb? Hippos have a unique digestive system. They have 3 stomach chambers and they use a method called foregut fermentation. Microbacteria living in hippos' stomachs break down food early in the digestion process. It's a symbiotic relationship that allows hippos to get the most nutrients out of tough grasses. So after your arm travels down the hippo's throat and goes into the first chamber of its stomach, microbacteria would begin to break down your arm. Then, your arm would pass on to the true stomach. This is where digestive enzymes would continue to break it down. Later, the hippo would fling remnants of your arm and some grass over the beast's territory. Hippos can spread their feces up to 10 meters around them. This plays an important role in the rivers and lakes of Africa. By eating and excreting grass, hippos add silicon into Africa's water systems. And that's good because unicellular algae need silicon to thrive. The algae produce oxygen, and it's a key part of the food web. Hippos are extremely territorial, and they're obsessive about protecting their young. So while baby hippos sure are cute, you should always steer clear of them. What's the first thing you should do if you ever fall into a pool full of stingrays? They may look super cute, but don't let their friendliness fool you, because they're also carrying a long, venomous, serrated stinger that could kill you at any moment. So, should you swim out of there as fast as you can? Or stay close to the surface of the water? Or should you just dance on the bottom of the pool? This is What If, and here's what would happen if you fell into a pool of stingrays. The first thing you need to do when you find yourself swimming with stingrays is to keep your feet away from them. One way to do this would be to stay as close to the surface as possible, but another, more fun way would be to do something called the stingray shuffle. This method involves carefully standing in the pool and shuffling your feet along the bottom in whatever direction you wish to go. It may look silly, but if you were to try and walk across the pool, you'd risk kicking or stepping on one of the stingrays, and that would be a quick way to meet their deadly stinger. What is it about this thin, spiny tail that can be so dangerous? The long, sharp spine at the end of a stingray's tail is known as its barb. If you were stung by the stingray's barb, it would cause serious damage because it would go into your body smoothly like a nail, but its serrated edges would tear up your tissues on the way out, like pulling out a screw. And that's just the beginning. As the serrated edges sink into you, the stingray's venom would flow into your wounds. The venom is not necessarily fatal, but it does hurt. A lot. It's composed of the enzymes 5-nucleotidase and phosphodiesterase and the neurotransmitter serotonin. If you're wondering why I'd even try to pronounce these 3 big names for you, it's because they're important, especially the last one. Serotonin causes smooth muscle to severely contract, and this is what makes the venom so painful. Some victims who have been stung in their feet say that the pain is like squeezing your foot in a vise and twisting it. So let's try to avoid that. The first thing to keep in mind when you drop into a pool of stingrays is that they're naturally docile creatures who will only attack in self-defense. They're so gentle that in the Cayman Islands there's even an extremely popular tourist attraction called Stingray City, where people feed and swim with large groups of stingrays. But even though these stingrays are friendly and love being fed, they still sting some people. The best way to avoid being stung is to make sure you don't kick or step on any of the stingrays. If a stingray feels threatened, it will flip its tail upwards over its body, striking whatever's in front of it. The stingray doesn't control the release of its venom, only the movement of its tail. If you accidentally step on one and get stung, you need to get out of the pool as soon as you can, without getting stung again. If the wound is superficial, it needs to be treated right away. Pull the stinger out and apply pressure on the bleeding to encourage the venom to come out. It's important to listen to your body because it is possible to have a life-threatening allergic reaction to the venom. If you're sure that you're not having an allergic reaction, use hot water around 43 to 46 degrees to kill the venom and relieve the pain. Once the pain has been relieved, apply antibiotic ointment or cream on the wound and cover it with bandages. If the barb has punctured your abdomen, chest, throat or neck, or has completely gone through a part of your body, do not remove it. You need emergency medical treatment as soon as possible. But if you had just followed our advice from the beginning, you wouldn't have to worry about any of this. Because you would have been able to avoid getting stung. Stingrays aren't really that dangerous if you treat them right. Jellyfish are some of the most dangerous creatures in the ocean. Just touching the wrong one can lead to a swift death. And now, these people are swimming with millions of them. But how? And what would happen if you chose to swim with millions of jellyfish? What does a jellyfish sting feel like? Is it possible to swim with them and live to tell the tale? And can peeing on a sting really save your life? This is What If, and here's what would happen if you fell into a pool full of jellyfish. The jellyfish's venomous sting is extremely dangerous. Just brushing against a jellyfish can result in incredible pain. Their stings harm over 150 million people each year. If you were to jump into a pool full of jellyfish, is there any way you could avoid their deadly stings? As soon as you jumped into the pool full of jellyfish, you'd immediately want to check your surroundings to see what you're dealing with. Jellyfish come in all shapes and sizes. They range from the lion's mane jellyfish that's longer than a blue whale to the moon jellyfish that's just 5 centimeters long. Kinda cute. Many of the jellyfish you might experience here would move with the current of the water. After all, jellyfish don't have brains, so they don't have much control over their movement. But some species, like the box jellyfish, are much more dangerous. These jellyfish are different, as they hunt their prey. But regardless of whether or not this jellyfish is hunting you, jumping into a pool full of thousands of them would definitely end up with you getting stung. And if you get stung, regardless of the type of jellyfish, you would immediately feel a burning or pricking sensation. This sting would eventually turn purple, then start to itch and swell. Over time, the pain would spread beyond the sting site and reach other parts of your body. But if this is all that happened, you'd be pretty lucky. At this point, you could get out of the pool, remove the tentacles from your skin, and the sting would heal itself over time. You might need some painkillers, but overall, you'd survive. And no, don't try to pee on it. The water and sodium in your urine can agitate the stinger, causing it to spread even more venom. But you ending up with just a little sting is incredibly unlikely in this scenario, especially if you're swimming with box jellyfish. Their sting wouldn't just bring you some pain and irritation. If you were swimming and happened to be stung by one of these, it could make you feel weak, drowsy, and you might even start to have muscle spasms. This could easily cause you to drown, and if more jellyfish came to sting you, you'd be feeling incredible pain all over your body. Someone else would need to pull you out of the water, as you'd most likely pass out at this point. And as soon as you got out of the pool, you'd need to immediately get antivenom in your system. That's because a box jellyfish sting releases a venom that can stop your heart in as little as 5 minutes. And if you didn't get the antivenom in time, you could die. So it's safe to say that swimming with jellyfish could be incredibly dangerous. But this isn't the only way swimming with jellyfish has to end up. There's a place in Palau known as Jellyfish Lake that has hundreds of thousands of golden jellyfish swimming about. This species is completely safe to swim with, as their sting is so mild you might not even notice it. So if you happen to fall into this lake with all these jellyfish, you'd be completely fine. In fact, it would be a beautiful and breathtaking experience. If by some stroke of bad luck you happen to end up in a massive pool filled with a bunch of sharks, here's what you should do. If you fall into the pool during broad daylight, you might be in luck. Generally speaking, sharks feed at dusk or during the night, so they'll be less likely to want to munch on you during the day. Once you're in the water though, the first thing you need to do is remain calm and not make any sudden movements. Not easy, I know, but you're not going to outswim a shark. So what do you do if one comes right for you? First, let's put shark attacks into perspective. They are incredibly rare, and you're more likely to get struck by lightning than to get eaten by a shark. Believe it or not, the fact that you're a human is incredibly helpful. You might think it would be easier if you were a fish, so you'd be able to blend in, but that's not the case. You see, despite what movies might tell you, sharks don't want to eat you. Sharks are wired to eat other fish and not animals they don't know about. And if you're an average-sized human, you're a lot bigger than most sharks. To a lot of them, you might look like something that could hurt them. The only real exception could be a great white shark. They're bigger than humans and not as likely to be afraid of us. But just like other sharks, they're generally only interested in eating other fish. Marine biologists believe most shark attacks are from humans appearing as fish in the water. A surfer's leg dangling off their surfboard might look like a seal to some sharks, especially in rapid waters. So as long as you look like a human, you should be okay. But what if they smell your blood? Even if they do, they may still not eat you. It would be a scent they're not used to, and the sharks might not be interested in you. You're more likely to be eaten if the sharks hear that you're in pain. Did you know that a single snake bite can kill an elephant in just a few hours? And if you're not careful, snake venom can kill you in only 15 minutes. But that's from a venomous bite. What if the venom was already collected and you took a swim in a pool full of the stuff? What would swimming in venom be like? How would snake venom affect your body? And could this actually be good for you? This is What If, and here's what would happen if you fell into a pool of snake venom. So, how many snakes would it take to fill a swimming pool with venom? An average swimming pool has at least 100,000 liters of water in it. On average, a venomous snake can produce anywhere from 1 to 850 milliliters of venom. So, in order to fill up an entire pool with snake venom, it would take hundreds of thousands of snakes. To get the venom, you'd have to milk the snakes. Yep, you can actually milk a snake for its venom. Okay, now that we have our pool filled with venom, what would happen once you jumped in? You'd probably notice that swimming in snake venom isn't very different from swimming in water. When venom is in the snake's fangs, it's about as thick as ketchup, but once it's extracted, the viscosity lowers. This makes it easier for the venom to flow into the prey's bloodstream. So an entire pool full of the stuff won't feel all that different from swimming in water. And what about the smell? Well, it won't really smell like anything. And if you happen to accidentally taste the venom, it would taste like a somewhat sweet, almost tangy version of water. But wait, when do you die? I mean, this is What If, after all. Here's a surprise. If you were to swim in snake venom, there's a good chance you wouldn't die. The reason is that you're swimming in something that's venomous rather than poisonous. You see, poison is something that can harm you if eaten, inhaled, or touched. But venom needs to be injected into you through a wound. So swimming in venom wouldn't really do anything to you. That is, unless you have any open wounds. If you did go in this pool with any sort of cut, then you'd be in some big trouble. The venom would quickly seep into your veins and would give you a number of issues, mainly blood clotting. What was once liquid is now a thick, jelly-like paste. Blood clots would form, eventually clogging your blood vessels, which would then lead to you dying from a stroke or heart attack. But if you're lucky enough only to get a few drops of venom in your bloodstream, you might be okay. That is, if you manage to find medical assistance relatively quickly. In the US, roughly 7,000 people are bitten by a snake every year. Of those people, only 5 end up dying. On average, you'd have about 30 to 60 minutes to get some help. Once you find it, the doctor will give you an anti-venom treatment and perhaps a tetanus shot. Then you can jump right back in the pool. Just make sure you don't have any cuts on your body this time. But maybe we shouldn't be swimming in this stuff anyway, even if it does no harm. Perhaps it could be used for something else. Scientists are doing research to find out if snake venom can be used as medicine, such as for Alzheimer's disease or to reduce tumors. So instead of playing in snake venom, or being afraid of it, we could use it for good. After all, snakes are rarely trying to hurt us, and most snake bites come from people bothering the reptiles.
An ancient creature is lurking in the ocean. It's double the size of a T-Rex. Its gigantic jaws could crush a car, and now it's on the hunt for you. Megalodon sharks haven't existed for more than 2 million years, but today, we're bringing these apex predators back to wreak some havoc. Now, some people believe megs never went extinct. Instead, they're hiding in the deepest depths of our oceans. The Mariana Trench. Well, if the megalodons were still around, that would be the last place you'd find them. That's because these prehistoric tyrants hated cold water. They preferred the warmer waters of the Mediterranean and the Caribbean. They also loved to explore the coasts of Australia and California. If these predators were around today, they might seriously ruin your beach vacation. But if they spotted you swimming in the ocean, they wouldn't just attack right away, and this has to do with your size. Megalodon sharks were gigantic, at least 16 meters in length, so they needed a lot of food. Scientists estimate that megs ate about 1,200 kilograms of fish every day. To hit their caloric intake goals, they even dined on sea mammals like whales and dolphins. So you, puny human, might not be worth their attention. Unless you were hanging out with a group of friends. Now that's a worthier snack. And the megalodon could devour you and your friends all in one bite. Ooh, and let me tell you, these predators had gigantic, sharp teeth. Each one of the megalodon's teeth was as big as your hand, and unlike us humans, megs kept producing new sets of teeth every week or two. In their lifetime, they'd go through up to 40,000 of them. If they never went extinct, you could find those all over the ocean. You could find some huge carcasses too, but that wouldn't happen all too often. Scientists think that megalodons had a lifespan of up to 100 years. But, even if humans weren't on the megalodon's menu, their enormous appetite would hurt us in other ways. With this huge new predator in the oceans, there'd barely be any fish left for us. And not because their boats wouldn't catch anything, but because they would, and then megalodons would hunt them down, attack, and eat everything in sight. It's not clear why megalodons disappeared these millions of years ago, but it could be because the oceans got too cold for them. Well, now they'd be in for a treat because our oceans are warming up. Thanks, climate change. Megalodons would thrive and reproduce. You'd see more and more of these predators showing up. They'd be disrupting our shipping operations and potentially bringing an end to the cruise industry. But eventually, they might die out once again after they ate whatever they could in the ocean and had nothing more to feed on.
These slithering creatures can live in the smallest corners of your home and the darkest places you don't dare visit. Well, not anymore, because today we're killing every single snake on Earth. How would this snake hunt begin? Would we have to invent a bioweapon to finish the job? And why would things get medieval? This is What If, and here's what would happen if we killed all snakes. The time for war has come. Humanity has decided that the snake's reign of terror on our planet is over. But what are we up against? Well, first, don't assume these animals will be easy to take down. These cannibalistic carnivores may not have ears, but can sense sound waves through their skin to know what's around them. Don't think their poor eyesight will help you either. While they can't perceive colors and have fuzzy vision, some can see heat sources as if they were wearing infrared goggles. See that flickering tongue? It can pick up odor particles from the air. The muscles in that jaw can open wide and devour prey larger than them. That could be your fate if you fail. But if you did succeed on your mission, how could this bring back the most horrible disease ever? There are about 3,400 recorded species of snakes slithering around Earth. According to the World Health Organization, snake bites kill over 100,000 people every year. So, how are you going to take those numbers down to zero? Well, to start, you'll need to visit the warmer regions of the planet. You'll also have to search trees, fields, and even underground spaces, like sewers. Remember, these are literally cold-blooded killers. Snakes need a place that allows them to hunt and regulate their body temperature. So maybe you could freeze them out. Yeah, well, they're more resilient than you might think. Burmese pythons are an invasive species that have been found in the Florida wilds since the 1980s. After a record cold snap in 2010, these predators adapted to the climate and started breeding like crazy. So the cold air might not work. Maybe you could create a bioweapon instead. Snake fungal disease has already been spreading globally. It causes painful lesions on a snake's skin, which can lead to death. Some snakes can shed their skin to get rid of it, but others aren't so lucky. And once it infects one snake, it can easily spread to others nearby. So, if humans could distribute this fungus to every snake on the planet, we could wipe them all out quickly. Okay, so now these reptilian menaces are gone for good, but did you just doom the planet? Without snakes eating them, rodents, birds, and amphibians, like frogs, would rise in numbers. And while these animals might be happy for the moment, that feeling would be short-lived. That's because they would all be competing for the same resources to feed, eventually creating a scarcity of food for all of them. And if you're a farmer, you'd have to deal with an increased rodent population on your land. You'd have to use more pesticides to fight for your crops. And as a consumer, you'd have to pay more money for your groceries because the same food would now cost more to produce. But the biggest price you'll pay won't be at the register. All the rodents scurrying around could spread diseases across the globe. You might even see a resurgence of the bubonic plague. Yeah, the plague could come back, and in a big way. And snakes weren't even on the top of the food chain either. Boars, mongooses, and birds of prey like owls and eagles depend on snakes for their diet. If you killed every snake, many of these species would decline in numbers. Some might even become extinct. Not to mention, humans rely on snake venom for medicinal purposes. Potential treatments for diabetes and cancer have been derived from it. With no further access to snake venom, we could endanger even more human life. Like all things in nature, snakes have their place among us, and that place is not near me, so keep your distance. But is every animal the same? What if we killed all ticks instead? Well, keep watching because that's a story for another What If.
They're the largest snakes on Earth, roaming the Amazon. They've eaten goats, deer, and even crocodiles. So, what would happen if an anaconda tried to eat you? Can an anaconda really swallow a human? How long would you be traveling through the snake's body? And has something like this happened before? This is What If. And here's what would happen if you were swallowed by an anaconda. Believe it or not, in 2014, someone was actually dumb enough to attempt this. He was wearing a large, bulky suit covered in pig's blood. The anaconda worked for an hour, wrapping its mouth around the head of the suit, but it was ultimately unsuccessful in swallowing the human whole. If it had been successful, how would an anaconda be able to eat a full-sized adult? So, you happen to be wandering in the Amazon rainforest and you stumble upon one of these giant anacondas. Green anacondas grow up to 9 meters in length and can weigh as much as 225 kilograms. You might think you'd be a tasty